Hello, Mzansi. Welcome to it as Hollywood Blitz brings you Game On with quite a lot to talk about on the European front with the recently concluded European Championships. We'll also be speaking to Joyce Kosana later on about some of the pre-season preparations in some of the local teams, and a lot of them going abroad to get things ready for the upcoming DStv Premiership campaign. And also joined by Brian Baloyi to discuss, well, the sad passing of a legend in South African football, that being Screamer Shabalala. On that note, we start, of course, with Shane. Shane, the name Screamer Shabalala, well, goes back a long time in South African football. And for those that are true scholars of the South African game will know his contribution to the game, an untimely passing away, and a true loss to the game, to someone who's played a huge part in where we are today.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, he was a charismatic man, you know, even though we had our differences, which we did. You know, he was still a brilliant man. Football, I mean, look what he did at Sundowns. He was a national coach. He went to Pirates, was involved there. So, yeah, condolences to all.
Yep, our thoughts and prayers very much with the Shabalala family and the entire South African footballing fraternity as well. Now, Shane, let's look at the game we were talking about last weekend, of course, the final for the Euros, Spain up against England. It ends with a 2-1 win for Spain. Many would say that's the result they were expecting, with Spain going into that game the favourites. But what did you make of the final?
Yeah, you know, we spoke about it before, and the best team won, put it this way. The tournament, over the whole tournament, the best team won. You know, we spoke about this last week, and I made a bold prediction and said, if I was the coach, I would have left Harry Kane out. As soon as Harry Kane went off, it changed. The way they played changed. You know, they looked a lot better. And unfortunately, these things, you can't be holding on to sentiment as a coach. You've got to play your best team at all times. And if a guy's out of form, leave him out. Unfortunately for them, they didn't do that. But let's give credit to Spain. I mean, young player of the tournament, Rodrigo, a midfielder. Have you heard about that? And it just shows you how important he was. And in the final, when they got injured at half-time, I was very worried. You know, I had a private bet with a girlfriend about this, and I went with Spain, she went with England. And when he went off, I said to her, oh, yes, trouble. The comment to me was, does one man make such a big difference? Yes, he does. But look at Spain. I mean, they just adjusted. Brilliant. Deserve to win the whole tournament by far.
When you look at their numbers, it really it stands out. It's the stuff champions are made of. 7 games, 7 wins, 15 goals scored, only 4 conceded. They scored the most goals, the most shots on target as well, most assists, and second most clean sheets. That for me is important. With what you do offensively, that's one thing. But second most clean sheets means a very balanced side here.
Yeah, exactly. And they all were balanced. I mean, and taking in mind, they rested a whole lot of players in the round robin stages. So they rested the players because they were through already. So just taking into mind that. So it just shows you what a strong squad they had. The right back, look how brilliant he was. I mean, how many assists? 7 assists. A different class. And if you look at that, you look at their team, it's a team effort. It's not just individual. Look, you got Jamal, you got a couple of players, you had the other boy up front. It doesn't matter. You had Rodri, went out injured. What happens? Someone else steps in, takes his place, you know. So it's a team effort. Bodes well for them going forward if they keep this up. Next World Cup, who's going to be favourites? I mean, Spain.
You mentioned young player of the tournament. Then when you look at some of the experienced guys, Cavallal, crazy season as well, where he's a Champions League winner, he's a Euro 24 winner as well, the Liga winner as well. So again, when we speak of balance between experience and youth, you've also got a perfect balance there as well with the Spanish
perfect balance, you know. And if you look at the team that they picked, 6 of their players were in the team, the Euro team. So it just shows you. We had this conversation. Well, we had this conversation. It was pointed out that it was run by Premier League teams. In English Premier League were also 6. But if you look at it, the important ones are all Spanish players. And Rodri, I mean, what a player. I mean, what can we say more about him? He's unassuming. He just gets out there, does his job, just does what he has to do. He's not one of these flashy players that's going to make anything stand out. He just does his job. And look what a job he does, you know. And it shows you how important a defending midfielder is.
Well, he's just taken over from the role that was played for many years, maybe 10, 15 years, by Sergio Busquets, and just moved it up a level, has he not? And Busquets already was a mind-blowing player.
Mind-blowing, but he has just moved it up a level, as you can see. I mean, but that whole team, I mean, going forward for the next few years, they got the youngsters coming through, and obviously there are a couple of older guys will retire after this, but you're going to have a core of a team for the next 5, 10, 15 years.
That will dominate. Now, I have to switch it up. Talk Gareth Southgate and England. Firstly, squad selection. When you got guys like Grealish that are used to getting to the semi-finals, finals of top European competitions, used to battling to the last day of the league season, and they don't make the squad, it raises an eyebrow to many. And now, after the fact, we can look back and maybe question your thoughts on Southgate's squad selection, firstly.
Well, we spoke about this earlier in before the tournament started, and I just felt that he picked the wrong players. I would have put Grealish in because of that. I mean, he's got the experience. You picked Foden and he played him out of position, which is a big worry for me. You kept on with Harry Kane, who was totally out of form. We saw that straight away, and he kept on insisting on playing him. But what can we say? I mean, he's now resigned. He said he's done. He's done well for England.
Yes,
you look at what he's done. You've got to take your hat off to him. He took him at the worst possible stage, transformed him into a decent team that can compete. Going forward, the next manager must pick his players as per on form and going forward, see if they can improve on what they've done now.
So the future, going forward, that's what's interesting from a Spanish point of view. Do they build from this and go on to conquer the world? And from an English point of view, do they build from where Southgate has left them and see if they can rub shoulders and, slag it out to some of the best in the world? That's the end of our look at the European Championships. On the other side of this, Jerry Skosana joins us and we talk about pre-season in some of the local teams.